Good morning. Lord's blessing on you today. Thank you for tuning in again this morning. And yes, for those of you who know me really well, today's the day I broke out of flannel. All right, so that's a little inside joke between me and the people that know me real well. Anyhow, picked up a verse today. Sometimes God lets us suffer the consequences of our decisions. There are some times when God doesn't just rush in and rescue us, even though we wish that He would. There are some times when God has to allow difficulties to come into our lives to purify our faith and to shape us and to mold us into who He wants us to be. He has to discipline us in that kind of way. There are just times when God has to let us go through the difficulties of our lives. But what we can never forget is that because we belong to God, that those moments of difficulty, trial, hardship, discipline are just that. They're moments compared to our lives. So Psalm chapter 30, verse 5, it says this. It says that His anger is but for a moment. His favor is for life. His anger, and it's using the idea of His anger because sometimes He does have to discipline, and that's what David was reflecting on when he wrote this psalm, that God did have to discipline him sometime, that God was displeased with him. God did let him suffer the consequences of his decisions, or God did bring discipline into his life. He said, but that's only for a moment. It says, but His favor is for life. His favor on you and His favor upon His children, His desire to bless them, His willingness to bless them, and His actively blessing them is for life. Though for a moment He may let them go through a dark time, we can be sure that His blessing will extend to our lifetimes. We don't always rush in and rescue our kids whenever they were in trouble. We didn't always rush in and just do everything that they needed and they wanted and not let them suffer. Oftentimes we let our kids suffer the consequences of their actions. But our favor and our love for them will last for their entire lives. And our blessing upon them will last for their entire lives. How much greater that is true of the way that God treats us. His anger is but for a moment. His favor is for life. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. I just think this is an illustration of what he just said about how in the night we may have a time of sorrow, but just keep looking because dawn is about to break. And dawn is the dawning of a new day, and it would be a day of joy. Have you ever going to have something happen the next day and you woke up early before the sun came up and you kept waiting for that sun came up? Maybe you were going to see someone you hadn't seen in a long time. Maybe you were going to take a trip that you had been anticipating for a long time. Something was going to happen that next day, and you woke up early, and when the day broke and when dawn broke, you knew that the day had arrived, and there was a sense of joy and happiness. So that's what we do. His anger is but for a moment, but His favor is for a lifetime. So weeping may endure for a little while in the night, but lift up your eyes because joy comes in the morning when the dawn breaks and there's a new day and it's full of joy. Listen, keep trusting, keep praying, keep pressing forward because God is there for you, just waiting. Love you guys. Get out there, faith today. God bless you. Bye.